Hi, it's Clay in the Potter's Hands, and I'm going to do a short video on the word cult and what does it mean. Why am I bringing this up? Because we're in a time where we need new. Cult stands for something, that's right, culture. Culture. That's what cult means. It's short for culture. It means any other culture that is not a part of the norm culture. And there will be a time, hopefully, that when a culture that we are currently in is not working for us and one another, then it's time to reestablish what kind of culture we want to be a part of. And the first one that I am most familiar with is the one that was formed in Rome about 2022 years ago. About 2,000 years ago, actually, give or take 10 years. When this man Christ left and preached what he preached, empowered people to heal themselves, heal one another, forgive one another, love the earth more than money and man's laws, but earth's laws, God's laws, and brotherly love, then what had happened is they realized how they became independent of the earth and one another, and therefore they became dependent upon fiat currency for all their well-being. And so during that time, a group of certain individuals awakening to this truth gathered all their things, distributed them evenly amongst themselves, those that they decided were not destroying their lives by vanity. Those they sold and gave the goods to the poor, and the rest, like land and clothes and things that they all needed, or seeds, food, they distributed them evenly amongst each other. Now, this culture is not communism. It's actually communalism. Communalism is a volunteered act by individuals through being led by the Spirit of truth, the Word of truth, and it's voluntarily participated in. When we rediscover that this is the way that we were created to live, and this is the way to free ourselves from selfishness, self. And I am and have been dying of this thoroughly. And this is one way that I'm going to help free myself of this, by sharing what's in my heart. So culture, right? Amish are considered a culture. 12 tribes of Israel are considered a culture, cult. There are certain churches that are considered cults that I would say are not sharing all things in common, and they are not teaching the principles of Christ in the first church in the book of Acts. But they've watered it down and changed it, and we can still be selfish individuals and share things, most of our things, and get riddled by the world still. But not create a completely different and new culture of principles that we live by. So there you go, folks. If you ever wanted to know what the word cult actually meant, You could probably come up with examples of a cult that we've heard of, mass suicide cultures and things. But please be aware that not all cultures, other than the one you're in, are necessarily bad for you. Sometimes they can be your life raft. So let's ponder this idea of a different culture. Right? If you're stuck in a square, are we? Matrix. Maybe it's time to sit in a circle and look at each other and realize we're sharing all of our karma with one another, and good and bad. And what we want to do is get in a circle and equal out that karma. Pray for one another. Often a struggle for one person is not a struggle for the other, and just so happens that other person is struggling with the thing that you're not. And so by praying for them for theirs and they pray for you for yours, that equals out the circle. Because a wheel only spins if the spokes are equal in strength. If they are not, they wobble. So a socioeconomic system, culture, in which you have very strong spokes and very weak spokes in the wheel, it will wobble like this, right? And have no stability. And the brakes don't work, because I had a wheel that went out of true recently, and I could not attach my front brakes. I hope you all got to the end of this, because that's pretty solid stuff. So, I'm Clay in the Potter's Hands, and I'll be sending more. I hope you consider this wisdom out to you, prophecies of what's to come, and prayers for all of you, no matter where you're at, those that consider me friends and enemies. This message is for all of us, to balance this wheel for all of us, so that we all have peace. I mean, even the people on top of the pyramid don't have peace. So